Hi, this is Sama Zadora, and today I'm talking with Ashley Turner, who's another really wonderful yoga teacher in my community. And for years, she's been doing work around priestess and goddess work and women's empowerment. So today we're going to talk about meditation because she's doing a virtual conference on Meditation 101, gathering teachers from all over with different perspectives. And today we were going to talk about meditation from the more feminine point of view, which is something I talk about a lot. And Ashley, when I give talks, I'll talk about how a lot of the meditation that's traveled to the West from the East was traveling through more male or masculine systems that valued celibacy and like sort of a withdrawal from the world. And so that definitely affects the kind of meditation that we're being taught, and that most of it is taught in this more sort of mental way, you know, that you sit down and you work with your mind, and things that use music or dance, to me, express the feminine and still bring us to that place of total silence that we're looking for, but more through a path of feeling and emotion and what my Sufi teacher called the path of the heart. So what experience have you had with that?
Well, thank you so much, first of all, Sam, for having me on your blog and on your show. And I love this topic so much because, as you know, we share this passion for the divine feminine and really activating that and integrating the feminine, masculine, and East and West. And that's really what this conference is all about. I wanted to interview teachers from all different meditation traditions and all different schools, give people really a smorgasbord of so they can choose what kind of meditation works best for them. And I was so happy because I was able to interview my priestess, Ariel Spilsbury. I did a 13-moon priestess training 7 years ago, actually, 8 years ago now. It's crazy. And so I'm an ordained priestess, and the path of the divine feminine is really a huge impetus and a huge part of my work. And so Ariel is interviewed, and we did a full hour-long interview, and then every one of the speakers on the conference is leading a guided meditation, and she led a guided meditation in the feminine way, which essentially is an open-eyed meditation. And it's exactly what you were just talking about, that the vertical axis is us drawing our consciousness inward and upward. In other words, it's a refinement of consciousness, but it's, as you said, oftentimes taught as a withdrawal from the world, a turning inward, which is beneficial and which is powerful, but that is most of the meditation that's out there that's being taught through this patriarchal lens, and it is more of a mental process. And the horizontal axis is just the feminine principle. Vertical axis is the masculine principle, and the feminine is the horizontal principle, which is a coming together, a unified field. It's really essentially that this life right here as it is right now is sacred. It's essentially Tantra, using the 5 sensory organs to awaken, to refine our consciousness, open-eyed and present right here, right now.
Right. Well, you know, and when we're saying this life right here is what we're looking for, that's where I think also the principle of sexuality comes in. So that's like, you know, the big unspoken, you know, sex, spirituality, meditation. What does sex have to do with meditation? And I feel I always get kind of stuck banging the drum about sex. You know? And it's only to me because it's one of the most natural things that we do as human beings. And so the world's kind of upside down. Instead of saying, you know, why would sex have something to do with meditation? It's like, why wouldn't sex be a primary form of meditating, since it's one of the most basic things human beings are born to do? It's
literally It's the first impulse is just to survive, and the second impulse is to procreate. So it's natural that it's such a huge driving force in all of our lives. And so I think working with the body, I also interviewed Kate Northrup, who her mother, Dr. Christian Northrup, of course, huge in feminine women's medicine and women's empowerment. And Kate and I were talking about, you know, she doesn't have a seated meditation practice. She uses dance, and dance for her has always been a real awakening practice and attuning her to the higher consciousness, to her divine self. So just like you're saying with sexuality, I mean, I am also a huge student of Tantra, and I think that using all of our sensory organs, using our body, whether it's just with ourselves and our own sexuality or with a partner, and that's actually the practice that I did with Ariel, was an open-eyed meditation where we were actually gazing, even through Skype, which is amazing, the transmission that you can experience, gazing into each other's eyes. So a soul gazing practice of working with your partner, of sitting with your partner for 5, 10, 15 minutes before you move into physical or sexuality. It really will attune both of your energies, your energy fields, your pranic bodies, but also your consciousness. And essentially that's what sex is. It's the two coming into the one, and this experience of this merging, expansion, contraction, and what is that? You know, it's transpersonal psychology of where we are in a shared field, and that's the field of sexuality, and that's the most awakened field.
Well, it's interesting because in the way that sensuality, femininity, come together, and that sensuality and sexuality is considered to be the feminine energy moving through either men or women. Mm-hmm. But as sex is taboo in our culture, so is that feminine way become taboo.
Right.
And so I think it's so important to kind of like bring these practices to light, and also make them less taboo and more normal again. Yeah. And even in the world, like some people watching this might not be familiar with the term Tantra, and that's fine with me, because I find a lot of resistance with people who think they already know everything about yoga or know everything about Tantra. And there's the camp that's like, Tantra is sex and Tantra is not sex. And again, just coming from the place of what is yoga? What is a spiritual practice or meditation? And I think it's where one human being really comes into union with their mind, their body, their spirit, mm-hmm. and that space we experience of complete peace mm-hmm. and oneness. And that when that happens between two people through sex, it's a really beautiful experience. And sometimes even one of the easiest doorways in, once people let go of their discomfort, their like self-judgment, insecurities, even that idea of eye gazing, in lovemaking.
Yeah.
And that so many people, even in that practice of lovemaking, it's like how they eat. They do it unconsciously, not paying attention to, mm-hmm. How often when you eat food, you grab it, you go, and you're not looking at the food or tasting it. And the same idea when you're in lovemaking with someone, are you actually like looking at the person, being with their essence, finding that connection?
Yeah.
And that the thing that usually stops us is the same thing that would stop us in any meditation, which is tension, like not being in that present moment, worrying about the past, having, imagination into the future. Mm-hmm. And the old tantric scriptures say that moment of union or even orgasm is the place that most people experience this thing we talk about of enlightenment.
Right.
Enlightenment.
Yeah. No, it's that euphoric, really expanded field energetically, but also consciously. And I think you make a really good point, which is, I love this analogy. I've never actually thought about it in the same way, but I have several neuroscientists and psychologists that I interviewed on Meditation 101 talking about, mindfulness and mindfulness meditation, and using eating as an example of that, of eating mindfully or doing the dishes mindfully or whatever it is. And so it's the same in sexuality, and what we come up against, what we're really bumping up against in sexuality is such an interesting realm, because it brings all of our insecurities and fears and doubts and attachments and, rejection, all of these things up to expectations, up to the surface, that we have an opportunity to work consciously with them and to stay present with our partner, and how to stay attuned with someone else and attuned to their needs and their desires while still staying centered in our own self, but then beginning to find that field where they really merge and overlap. And so the making eye contact in sex is a huge meditation, and it's a huge, Yes, the breath, exactly.
I always tell people, like, what's the difference between sitting in a chair with my eyes closed and meditation? It doesn't look that different from the outside, but my inner experience is so different. And the same thing when you're having mindful union and sex.
Yeah.
Just changing the intention, the breath, and the connection is what will make it a completely different experience and make it sex as a meditation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And because I'm also a psychotherapist as well as a yoga teacher, and it's the thing that I tell my clients all the time. Like, if you want, and I actually did a great blog, which is How to Have Better Sex, which is the most shared blog on my site, of course, because everyone is sort of obsessed. I know.
No one will admit it. It's like, no, but
I know.
everybody wants to
Oh, the
know.
numbers are there. The numbers are there. But, the number one thing that I said in this blog was breathe. Like, stay in your breath, because when you're in your breath, you're in your body and you're conscious. You're in a mindful state. When you're moving prana through your body, moving energy, moving breath through your body. Not only that, but then it's awakening physiologically. There's all these other, wonderful byproducts that will help improve your sensual sexual experience when you're breathing and mindful and open-eyed meditation.
Yeah, and it's fun, the different people, who are interested in learning about this. I'm working with an NFL athlete who's like playing in the NFL right now and has all these like pressures and stress and wanted to learn meditation. And I brought up, sex is meditation too. So, eating mindfully, sex mindfully, everything is a meditation. Mm-hmm. And I was saying the breath, and he's like, why didn't somebody teach us to breathe?
I know, right?
I get to be this age and now no one has said this. It's like so obvious, and yet even anyone doing meditation or spiritual things are like, sex is way over there, and yet that's what people have to deal with every day. That's like, to me, rubber hits the road. Yep. So meditation and spirituality shouldn't be these like concepts and so heady. It's what we're doing right now. And my teacher in India, he said, people come and say like, how do I open my mind in meditation? And he said the blockages to your heart and your mind are below your belly button, and nobody wants to look there. And you're a psychotherapist. That's very like Freudian. If we want to understand what's going on in our mind, we have to look at the subconscious sexual energy, which is driving every decision we make.
Right.
And if we separate ourselves, like my meditation is like this, and sex and everything falls in another category, I think we've completely missed the point of integrating ourselves.
Yeah, and that's it. It's a mind, body, and the psyche soma connection. Like, that's really what we're after, and that's really the focus of this whole meditation, conference, is that I interview neuroscientists, psychologists, but they're all talking about the body. I mean, neural pathways are through our whole body. They're not just in our brain, so.
Yeah, guess what? A huge amount of your nerve endings and neural pathways are like in your vagina.
Right, right.
I was like, ground zero.
Right, ground zero, exactly.
Yourself is the root of your body and the sex of your body, which again, even Western psychology supports that. And the older texts in Tantra and yoga also say that. We have to understand what's going on with our primal sexual drive.
Right. Thank you so much. What an honor. And I love everything that you're up to and all your work. It's incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, and likewise. I really appreciate you and how much you're doing for the community.
Thank you. Such a pleasure. So I know you probably have the link right below for the conference, but I just want to send everyone to your website so that they can get on there if they're interested. And again, it's free, April 21st to the 25th. You can download all the videos and audio after that if you wish, but just incredible. We're talking about all this awakening through the body, awakening through in all different ways. So thank you so much for having me on here.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley, and good luck with the conference. I think it's so important for people to find the right meditation that works for them so that they can include it in their lives and get the benefits. So it's a great thing to put that together.
Exactly. Oh, take care. I'll see you soon.
Bye.